August the 13th, 8:47, squirrel hunting talk of the day. I removed a member from my YouTube channel for making comments last night. I don't put up with bullshit, okay? YAKNA is gone. Now, let's talk about using trees, even a trigger stick, or even that toe stick that I used to squirrel hunt with. Here's what you're going to find a lot in the squirrel woods. How long can you shoulder a gun and keep it elevated in a shooting position exactly? An 8 or 9 pound gun, even a 7 pound gun, even a 6 pound gun. So what you're going to see in the squirrel woods a lot of times, you'll be watching a squirrel in a hickory tree. Now the best shot, you know, is when he runs back sort of on that big limb and sits down with that nut and you can bust him. But you got to be able to see him. And sometimes you'll watch a squirrel. Now, they don't always do this, but they have a high tendency. A lot of times a squirrel will go out on the end of a limb, he'll pick a nut. Now, they do this more with hickory than they do oak, beech mash. No, they don't do this with beech mash. With a hickory, a lot of times, they'll run out on the end of the limb. There's probably a better than 50% chance he'll go back to the same place and set back down. And maybe you see him going back to this place, but he's not giving you the view you need. Maybe you see his tail hanging down. Maybe you see his body and there's something blocking that head and you're trying to shoot the head. So what these trigger sticks, shooting sticks, or a tree can do for you is a lot of times with a squirrel, and I'll make my mind up. Sometimes I'm like, okay, you're going to play that game. I'm going to get you when you go out there to pick the nut out on the end of the limb. Now that can be risky, but you can be successful at it. So what you're doing with that shooting stick, that trigger stick and that pole I'm using, if I'm using it, is the gun is up closer to the shooting plane. Okay, so then when that squirrel makes his move and he runs back out on that limb, you're cutting down the time because you got to be quick. They pick them nuts fast. Now, I've been squirrel hunting before, and I've seen a squirrel pick 2 or 3 nuts. He'll run out there, and I'm trying to get him. He'll run back and sit down, and I can't see him. So I'll sit there and I'll wait. He'll run back. Sometimes you got to wait, and you may have to wait 2 or 3 times. But if I didn't have a supportive device, and I was trying to shoulder that rifle to pull that same stun off, it would take longer. And probably be more unsteady, huh? So you got to keep the gun up closer to where it needs to be so that when you do get to engage that squirrel with that rifle, it speeds it up. Time is a factor. A lot of times squirrel hunting, time is a factor. Now there's always those shots that are easy. You know, there's some, you know, where a squirrel, he'll sit there for 10 minutes eating on a nut. He's in the wide open and you can see him. Well, that's not the shots I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you have to shoot quick. And you already are in position, more or less, but you're just waiting for that squirrel to make that mistake. And you may have to sit there with one squirrel. You may have to watch him 15 minutes before he makes that mistake. It may be 20, 25 minutes sometimes, or a pair of squirrels. Well, you can't sit there and hold that rifle up on your own for that long. It would wear your ass out, wouldn't it? That's going to conclude the squirrel hunting talk of the day, the hick from the sticks.